Anyone has any question? Specific question? Any specific query about the divine world of Krishna consciousness?
Il y a des questions.
Yeah, I have one question.
She has a question.
She has a question? Yes, I have a question because at the beginning of the kata you said Brahma, the unpersonal identity of God, is also the same as Bhagavan, which is the supreme identity of God, who is personified. Therefore, I was wondering, all the God of all the religion is like a different expression of God. I'm wondering like how to visualize this in my head sometimes.
True, all the essence of all the God-loving religion, theistic religion, not atheism, theistic religion, are very nice, and they are ultimately they uphold and promote the interest of God. In other words, ultimately they promote love of God, loving service to God, a life of devotion to God. I repeat, all the essence of all the established religions cannot but ultimately promote knowledge of God, divine knowledge of God, divine love of God, ecstatic love of God, and engagement of ecstatic loving service of God. Okay, so although people are more particular about many of the external ways of the religiosity, religious rituals and some systems and methods, then they vary. I mean, differences come, many types of distinctions, distinctive ways. Okay, different ways are found. Okay, like language differences. Same thought can be expressed through many languages. But the thought which is being expressed through a particular language remaining more or less same, but getting translated into different various languages. So the ultimate conception of the God, feelings about the God, realization about the Supreme God, who is one without second, who is none other than the one supreme, absolute, divine truth. That cannot be different. Your God is different from my God, your God, his God, her God. Cannot be like that. It's ultimately the same supreme, absolute, divine truth. Okay. Same supreme, absolute, divine power, divine bliss, whatever way we call divine God, divine mercy. So that is the same reality, same supreme central reality. It is one without second, no matter through which language, which way, which religion expresses how, which way. Now the same supreme absolute divine truth manifests in different ways. Also in the world of Krishna consciousness. It has been beautifully described by Shukadeva Goswami, the son, great, glorious son of Vyasadeva, that the supreme absolute divine truth can manifest, does manifest in three different ways, established ways. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaniti, Sabdate. In the form of Brahma, Paramabrahma, in the form of Paramatma, Paramabrahma, or all-pervading divine energy form, power form, Paramatma form, the form of super soul, also all-pervading, within me, without me, in and out, all-pervading, a super soul, which is actually maintaining and sustaining all the living beings' life. Paramatmiti, and finally Bhagavan iti sabdate. He is saying, Brahma conception of the Supreme God, and Paramatma conception, Super Soul conception of the Supreme God, finally being finally culminated, having final culmination in the wonderful, beautiful, personal form of the same supreme truth, of the same supreme absolute divine truth manifesting in the form of energy form or super soul form. Now manifesting in the personal form, that of unlimited character, unlimited nature. Because in the mundane plane, whenever we go to conceive any personality, it's so limited. He is a person, his personality is a limited concept. But the nature of the personality, the conception of the personality of the absolute, infinite, supreme truth is also infinite. Unlimited nature. Therefore, at every step of God realization, the guiding principle is, what is that? Transcendental. At every step, the world of Krishna consciousness, path of God realization, world of divine God realization, Krishna realization, Radha Krishna realization, we are reminded of that it is of transcendental character. So we cannot really comprehend or conceive. So we should not even try to conceive of that in a limited mundane way, with limited mundane conceptions of energy. Or, oh, this is soul, and soul looks such and such way, we imagine, or a personality. These are all limited concepts. So, whenever we go to attribute, whenever we are going to ascribe, how do you say ascribe or impose our limited conception, okay, on the conception of Supreme God, Supreme Absolute Divine Truth of infinite nature, then it becomes so limited, it's not real conception in the first place. Because the conception of Supreme Absolute Divine Truth, in other words God, Supreme Lord, that of transcendental nature. So the conception of Krishna's personality, Srimati Radharani's personality, also that fully transcendental nature, same supreme absolute divine truth manifesting as supreme He and supreme She, supreme God, supreme Goddess. unlimited, innumerable, unlimited aspects, taste, beauty, fragrance, qualities, characteristics. So, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaniti Sattva. So, after explaining about the Brahma conception of the Supreme Absolute Reality, power conception, energy conception of the Supreme Absolute Divine Reality, then Sukadeva Goswami also explained in interconnected way, interrelated way, the Super Soul conception of the Absolute Divine Reality, Supreme Lord, and then culminating thereafter, brought the culmination, having the culmination of the conception of God in the personal conception, beautiful, most wonderfully beautiful, most beautifully wonderful, personal conception of the Supreme God, Supreme, same Supreme Absolute Divine Truth, that of unlimited nature and that of transcendentally unlimited nature, transcendental divine characteristics. That is Krishna. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. But other ways of the manifestation of the same Supreme Lord Krishna, also there, they are genuine, they are valid. So, when some Jiva souls are relating the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna in more impersonal energy form, okay, in the beginning stage or in whatever stage of his or her spiritual realization, that's also valid. It's not necessarily Mayavadi type of impersonal realization, not Mayavadi type of impersonal concept, but it is the energy manifestation of the same Supreme Personality of the Godhead. Like, for example, you look at the sky, see most effulgent sun. There is sun. For example, we can take the sun as personality. Sun has God consciousness, its own effulgence, is the origin. And the energy emanating from the sun is the energy conception of the same sun. One is the source, one is the origin, another is the energy extension of the same origin. Okay? They are interrelated. They cannot be separated from each other. But we cannot conceive of sun's energy, sunlight, sun ray, or sun's power without the origin, without the real sun. Cannot conceive. Because all the energy extension, energy expansion of the sun is happening from the origin, from the very source, that is sun itself. So, we call it, it's the light of the sun, sunlight. Heat from the sun. But the heat, that's the same light, sunlight and heat emanating from the sun cannot exist separate from the sun. So it has to be understood inseparably interrelated way. In a similar way, similar moon also another example. There is moon and moon beam, beautiful soothing moon beam coming, moon's ray, moonlight coming and imbuing us. In the moonlit night, beautiful moonlit night, moon ray coming and bathing us, imbuing with so much beauty. But that energy is coming from the moon. Like that. So similarly, Brahma conception energy conception of the Krishna, Supreme Lord, now I call Supreme Lord, is actually coming from Krishna, not without Krishna. So it cannot be separated from Krishna and just thinking, oh, this is it. God means, Supreme Lord means only energy form. No source, no origin. Only energy form. Then it becomes more blind, inert, dead, impersonal kind of concept. It's not dead, impersonal concept of the energy. It's not inert or blind force or blind energy. It is alive energy. Energy full of life. No blindness. It's full of knowledge, consciousness, lights. Full of life force, life power. So it is very much living, including the objective and subjective aspects of the being. The energy accommodating objective and subjective aspects of all beings within. That kind of energy. Never some type of blind, inert, impersonal type of energy, meaningless energy, non-useful energy, no. That Brahma. Brahmeti. So one can be worshipping the supreme absolute divine truth, supreme personality of all pervading absolute divine truth in the energy form, in the form of super soul existing within me, all pervading. Also finally, I don't want to say in the form, but somehow I have to express in language, in the form of personality of the infinite personality of that same supreme absolute divine truth, Krishna. One of the most endeared names, beloved names, who is called as Krishna. Madhava Anandam Satchidananda Krishna. In C form, Srimati Radharani, Radha Thakurani. There are many beautiful names. They have got many meaningful, wonderfully beautiful names to be addressed with. With so many beautiful, wonderful characteristics they are addressed, related with. So if some devotee, if some spiritualist, some devotee also wants to connect with Krishna through energy form, that is also okay. Those who cannot immediately come up with the realizations of the personal form, personal conception of Krishna. Those who are not ready yet or prepared to be relating to the supreme, beautiful, divine truth in personal way, but they are more attracted to the energy aspects of the same supreme truth. Yes, they can relate and worship same supreme God in the energy form. There is no harm in that. Okay. But upon knowing this energy has got origin, divine origin, with that knowledge, or yogi, so mostly the Gyanis, some pure Gyanis, I am not talking necessarily impersonal type of, Gyanis, Mayavadi type of Gyanis, but pure high-class Gyanis worship the same supreme absolute divine truth as Brahma in energy form. Those who want to feel and realize God through knowledge, only knowledge and consciousness, no much love and devotion yet.
qui ne sont pas spécialement
Not through the path of ecstatic loving devotion yet, but through form of consciousness, knowledge. You have to leave, all have to go.
Yes.
Oh.
Have to work earlier tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Prasada. I'll just give her.
Take some prasada and go. So, those pure Gyanis, high class Gyanis, they relate to the same supreme absolute truth, beautiful Lord, through more knowledge aspect. Aspect of the consciousness, energy of the consciousness, knowledge aspect. Whereas the yogis relate to the same supreme truth, same supreme Lord in the form of super soul. Super soul. Not just only impersonal energy form, but they feel more closely to Lord's presence within them and outside them, through more personal feelings of ecstasy, some blissfulness through meditation, through the world of meditation. So that's a kind of super soul realization. That's the way of the character of the realization of Supreme God in the form of super soul. And finally, the same supreme truth becomes realized in the most beautiful, wonderful personal form, with whom one can relate with so much ecstatic love relationship. I repeat, when a devotee, a pure lover of God, devoted lover of God, can realize the same supreme God in the personal form, to become so filled with blissful experience. Because now the devotee can have a personal love relationship with the Supreme God, can relate to the same supreme absolute truth, beautiful truth, through personal love feelings. That is possible. Ecstatic love relation can relate to the same supreme truth through ecstatic love feelings, blissful love feelings, more closely. You can feel more close union with the same supreme God through love, ecstatic love, close union. Through ecstatic love relationship with the same Supreme God. So, Bhagavan. In other words, that is called Bhagavan. So, with whom you can personally relate, you can intimately relate to through ecstatic love feelings, which is not so much possible in the Brahma conception, energy conception, or super soul conception, although blissful taste also present in both, in the Brahma conception and super soul conception of the Supreme God. The experience of bliss also there, divine bliss. But there is no intense feelings There is no real intense feelings of personal relationship with the God. Okay, more, how to say, more blissful but impersonal relationship. Okay, impersonal kind of blissful relation. Like, for example, you can love, one can love to look at the sun, one can love the sunlight, moonlight, one can love to relate to the sky, space, beautiful wind, or energy form. But one may not be able to have personal love relationship to them, although enjoying their presence. Feel some happiness to relate to wind, beautiful wind, air, okay, space and majestic, beauty, panoramic beauty of the nature, sunset, sunrise, sunset in the ocean, moonrise, moonset. But you can be so much enjoying, liking, appreciating it. But you cannot relate to them like you can relate to your beloved. I repeat, you cannot really relate to them with personal, intimate love relationship, ecstatic love feelings, like one can do with his or her own beloved. Something very special there. Yeah. Understand? Next thing.
Thank you very much.
Makes sense, yes. This is the discriminations. So therefore, devotees have the highest gain, highest quality gain, divine gain, while they relate to the Supreme Absolute Truth in personal form as Bhagavan. Because they have the invaluable scope, they have the matchless, priceless scope and chance to have ecstatic love relationship, personal love relationship with that Supreme Person, Supreme Divine Person, which is not really so much possible, not really possible in that quality, in the Brahma conception or Paramatma conception. Although bliss is there, although experience of bliss is there, blissful union also there. In the Brahma, there is also conception of the blissful union with the Supreme Energy, between the Gyanis and the Supreme Energy form of God, Brahma conception of God. Also conception of blissful union between the Yogis and the Super Soul. But it's not like that quality of blissful union with ecstatic love, love relationship, personal love relationship, intimate love relationship with this same Supreme Truth, Supreme Person. So, this is